Hey guys, welcome to the first outside view of my house that you've ever seen. And there it's gone. So, what am I doing in my garage here? So, about a year ago, basically right as I started this channel, I had somebody ask me, hey, it kind of works. I want to build a Wi-Fi controlled garage door opener. And, I thought that was a great idea. I always did. But up until about a week and a half ago, this garage was filled with everything that's in that dumpster there. So I was not about to put a video on the internet of a dirty garage. So now that I've cleaned up this garage here, I feel like I can tackle this little project. When I was looking at this little control unit, which by the way, the house never came with any little remote for me to use, so this is all I've ever had. And when I look at the bottom of it, I see this cable that comes from the garage door, or the garage door opener, and it's got 4 little wires, but only 2 of them are used, a yellow and a black wire. And I found that if I just bridge those contacts, it triggers the garage door to open and close. So that got me thinking, that should be pretty easy. All I need to do is put a relay, connect that up to those little screw terminals. I can leave this unit in place, and I can just have a little relay with an ESP connected to it, and it can open and close the garage door just by, bridging those contacts with the relay momentarily. So this should be a pretty easy project, at least to start out. Just an ESP8266 with a little relay module, some power. I don't know what power is feeding into this, and I don't really care to figure it out. But luckily, right across the doorway, I got a little wall plug there. So I'll just plug it into there, run a cable around the door and to the unit there. So that's what we're going to do to start out. This is by no means a finished project. When it's done, I do intend to put some sort of sensor to detect whether it's open or closed. Okay, so my thinking is that I can put a sensor, like an ultrasonic sensor, in sort of the top corner there, and that can shoot down, and when the garage door is closed, there's nothing in front of that sensor, so it can read, whatever, 5 meters, or, no, not 5 meters, but it can read some distance. And when the garage door opens, it will block that sensor, and the distance will go way down to like a foot or something. So that's a future plan. I'm not going to do that today, but, you guys will probably see me add that in a future video. So let's go down into the workshop and see if we can't throw something together to put onto this little module here to allow me to control it through Wi-Fi. All right, guys, so this is everything that I think we're going to need to build this little garage door opener. So I have my relay module over here on the left. And I really like these little modules. They're only a few dollars on eBay, and you can get cheaper ones, but there are a couple things I like about this. First of all, it has the screw terminals on both the input and output, and maybe, that might not be ideal for every situation, but for what I want to do here, I'm not going to put this on a circuit board or anything. I like having these screw terminals on both the input and output. The other thing I like is that little white guy right there, that guy there, that is an opto isolator. So that will isolate the signal from the input to what's going to the relay when I trigger it, so that nothing is coming back to the ESP. There still will be noise on the power line, but there won't be any spikes or anything coming back to the I/O pin that I use on the ESP. So that's also nice. And the last thing that I like about this relay is that it has this little jumper here, and this lets me select between a high or low trigger. So I can either bring the input pin low, or I can bring it high. It depends on what the situation is, but it's a nice little feature. So these might cost an extra, 50 cents on eBay than the really cheap ones, but they're really nice and I like them. Okay, so the next thing is that here, this is what I'm going to be using for power. So this is just a little USB power brick that I found laying around in my house. And it's got 5 volts at 500 milliamps, which should be enough to run everything. There's no reason that that shouldn't be enough. Very simple. I have this little USB plug here that I'm going to solder up pins or solder wires to and give me a nice power connection going to my 3.3 volt regulator. So this here, you can check out how I built this in the video that's in the link in the top right corner right now. And this is just a HT733A voltage regulator with 1,000 microfarad capacitor and 100 nanofarad ceramic capacitor. And this will be the primary power source for my ESP8266. Obviously, the relay runs on 5 volts, which is why I'm using my USB power source here. And so the 5 volts will run to the relay and then to this little regulator here. The next thing that we have is the brains of it all, the ESP8266. If you don't know what this little guy is, just put it into Google, you'll find out, or go and watch any of my other videos. Basically, every single one features one of these little guys. Great little microcontrollers. So the rest of the parts we have here, I got some wire here. Yeah, it's on it's ribbon cable, but I'm just going to tear it apart and use it for little bits of hookup wire. I got a 1K resistor here, and this will just be what goes between the ESP and the relay. I don't think I really need a resistor to go between them. I'm pretty sure that the relay has one of these little surface mount components is a resistor between the transistor on here or the opto isolator and the ESP, but I'm going to have one just in case, just to be safe. And the last component is another 1,000 microfarad capacitor. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to put it onto the power input for the relay. And what that's going to do is just make sure that whenever this triggers, there's a big power spike. It just goes boom. It just has a big spike every time you trigger it or you release it, open or close. There's a big power spike. So what this capacitor is going to do, I'm going to just put it right directly. I'm going to not even probably solder it. I'm just going to clamp it in on the screw terminals, and it's going to absorb those spikes. And that will just make the regulator happy. And so that'll basically be the capacitor on the input of the regulator as well. Not exactly, but good enough that the power signal going to the ESP should be pretty clean. So that's all the components we're going to use. So the last component that I thought about adding, and maybe if you do this project, you may add yourself, is this little push button. So this is just a normally open, and when you push it, it closes those 2 terminals there. And I thought about adding this, but then honestly, when I was just shooting the video in the garage for you guys, I realized I don't really need this. I was going to have this as a way to trigger the garage door when I'm in the garage. Just put this on a little panel or something. But then I realized I already have a button for the garage door. I don't need to add my own on the ESP. If I'm in the garage, I can just hit the button on the garage door. So there's no reason for me to add this. I'm just going to toss it from the project. So now that we have all the components here, I'm going to wire it up. I'm not really going to do a whole lot of commentary here just because this is going to be pretty similar to my relay module that I built in a video in the past. So if you want to check out that video and roughly how I'm wiring this up, you can go and check that out in the link in the top right of the screen now. Otherwise, this is pretty similar. 5-volt source instead of coming from the wall is going to just come from this USB, but that's really the only change. The relay is still going to go to pin 3 on the ESP. The power is still going to go from to here and to the regulator. The regulator is going to feed power into the ESP. And, it's pretty simple. So if you guys want to go and check that video out, go and check that out now. Otherwise, I will include a rough schematic to all of this in the description below. So let's go and get this all soldered up, shall we? All right, so there we go. It's, I think anyway, built. So as you can see, it's not maybe the prettiest thing, but you know what? I'm basically just gonna set this up and forget about it and never, have to deal with it again. So this is okay. Maybe I'll wrap some stuff in electrical tape, duct tape, we'll see. But as you can see, I've got the capacitor hooked up to the input on the relay module here, or on the power input anyway of the relay module. And on the input, on the toggle input, I've got my 1K resistor, which is going to pin 3. So this little yellow wire goes to pin 3 on the ESP. I don't know if you guys could see, but a couple times there I was testing my power to make sure everything was good. But let me just show that to you guys again here. Hopefully the lights don't blow everything out. And I don't know if you guys can see that because I can't look at the camera right now, but the power light for the ESP is on and the power light for the relay is on. And actually the ESP is blinking away there. So everything seems to be good here. So I'm going to unplug that. And now really it's just down to software. I just need to upload the right software onto this module and then wire up the output of this relay here, and we should be good to go. So let's go and check out what the code for this is going to look like. All right, guys, so here's my program for the garage door opener. You guys can see it's pretty short. And if you guys have followed along with some of my ESP helper videos, this should look pretty familiar, because this is actually basically the same program as the relay control demo, but instead of having the ability to just flip a relay on or off, this just will toggle the relay on and off very quickly, and that's how we'll control the garage door. Other than that, it's pretty similar. So up at the top, we include my networks library, and that's just something I wrote so that you guys don't see my network config. It just has a couple of little net configs for the various networks that I have. Then I also include ESP helper, which of course this program is going to use because why wouldn't we? And then we have a couple of definitions here, one for the status topic. So for me, everything that I do usually has a status topic, and that ends up being the main whatever topic it is / status. So we're not going to use that yet, but in the future, I plan to have a way to detect whether the garage door is open or closed, and the status topic will report that. Then we also have our garage door, our relay topic, and this is just what we're going to send a message to trigger the relay to open or close the door. The host name is relay garage door. That way I know easily when I go to upload something through over-the-air updates, which thing I'm updating. And then, like I said, we're going to use pin 3 here. You guys can change this to whatever you want, but I'm using pin 3 because it's unused, doesn't have any weird startup issues, and I like it. So then down here, I have some variables, and all this stuff is basically the relay topic is I don't like to use definitions directly in my code just because it's not, the compiler isn't catching that. Just don't worry about it. Then we also have the status and reply topics. These we're also not going to use yet, but I left them in there just for when I actually end up having some closed loop control of the garage door. And my relay pin is set to the macro of relay pin 3. Current state, again, not used yet, but will be in the future. And then I create my instance of ESP helper. That way I, don't have to worry about anything. And then we're in setup. And this is really going to go quick. So here is how I end up generating this status topic here. And again, we're not going to worry about that. So I'm just going to skip right over it. And then we have a whole bunch of ESP helper setup here. So I'm enabling the OTA. I'm setting my OTA password. Obviously, I'm not using OTA password, but I didn't want to show you guys my password because that's just not smart. And then I am setting my host name. And then down here, I'm setting the heartbeat so I can see the ESP blink away. I know that it's connected. Everything's running smoothly. I'm going to disable Wi-Fi hopping just to prevent any ability for the ESP to try to latch on to a different network. Add the subscription for my relay topic. Start ESP helper and set the callback. Very, very simple. The next 2 little lines here, they just set the relay pin as an output and set it to low just for the sake of making sure that it is low upon startup. And then this is it. This is so simple, guys. All we're doing in loop, we're just looping the ESP helper library and then yielding the rest of the loop time to the Wi-Fi stack of the ESP. Very simple. In callback, we are simply going to check to see if we got a 1. We don't even need to do this now. We could just, anything that we send to this topic, to the relay topic, we could have it toggle the relay. But I just like to have it and do a little check just in case maybe somehow an H got sent through. I don't want to toggle it. So I'm checking to see if the payload has a 1. If it does, we are going to toggle the door. And toggle door, really simply, it just sets the pin for the relay high, waits 100 milliseconds, and then sets it low. And that's it, guys. It's that simple. So this code is definitely going to be in the description below. So if you guys want to take a look at it, try your hand at this project. It's in the description and you can go check it out. Now I'm going to go wire this up and we're going to swap back up to the lower quality video camera and audio that you guys so love and see if it works. All right, so here we go. You can see the ESP is hooked up and it's blinking away and the relay has power and I've wired the relay up into the little control unit. And so the ESP is just got a little power cord going to the USB connector we built earlier. And now we get to test it out. So what I've gone ahead and done is built a little, basically it's like an Amazon little, dash button here. So this is just an 18650 battery with the same little regulator that I put onto this unit here. So that same little regulator. And it's hooked up to an ESP and the ESP is deep sleeping. And when I push the button on the ESP, it wakes it up and it takes a few seconds to wake up. But now, let's see, in a moment, it should trigger the relay. Okay, it totally triggered the relay, but did not trigger the door, so let's figure that out. One of the leads for the garage door opener actually just broke. So let me fix that and we will try this again. All right, so take two. I have fixed the little wire there and I will push the button on here. All right, there we go. It's waking up, connecting to my network, and in a few seconds, oh, that feels so good, guys. Oh my God, that is so cool. That is probably one of the most fun little projects I've built. Now let's just check again, just to make sure it wasn't a fluke. Push it. We'll wait another few seconds for it to wake up. And, oh my God. Guys, that is awesome. This is so fun. Well, okay, maybe it's not fun, but it's at least pretty cool. So there we go, guys. That is the beginning of my garage door opener. And this is also the beginning of a little series I'm going to do of summer projects. Now that you can see it's beautiful summer outside, or close to it anyway. So thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more like it, subscribe to the channel. And if you guys are feeling really generous today, go to patreon.com/ItKindaWorks and just toss $1 or $2 in. And, it all goes to helping out, make fun little videos and projects like this that you guys can follow along with. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys next time.